I'm not going to talk about CRT. No. Uh, I know I've been on a CRT kick, so even though you could say everything nowadays has to deal with that, um, but I'm going to talk about basically how this is this whole CRT also, and not about CRT, but about the whole cultural revolution that's going on in this country and where it basically began. And if you want to see that, look no further than the university. And so when I'm going to share this, I want to share this. Excuse me, uh, this article here, and play a little snippet of the video from. Here it goes. North Korean defector says attending Columbia University reminded her of dictatorship. And here goes Yonomi Park, a North Korean refugee who escaped and moved to America in 2014, is warning that American professors are indoctrinating their students against America the same way that North Korea did. Crazy. Um, Park, who went to Columbia University, talked to Sean Hannity about what kids are being told about America in Ivy League universities. So here's a snippet. Let me just play a little bit real quick.
As we have covered on this program night after night, far left ideologies, they are infiltrating our educational system from grade school right through college. In terror of North Korea, citing North Korea. I read the story. You're saying, so you grew up, and how many years you were in North Korea? What, 20 years? And you think the indoctrination in the United States at our Ivy League institution, Columbia, is as bad or worse as the propaganda, anti-American hate that you heard in North Korea?
Um, just just needed to fast forward to the point where we could hear her words.
So when I was in North Korea, first thing that I learned was that Americans were bastards. It was actually the one word. At school when I was attending, they told me, actually there's just math problem saying there are 4 American bastards, you killed 2 of them. Then how many American bastards left to kill? And as a child in North Korea, you have to say 2 American bastards. And when I came to America, I fell in love with this country. This is such a wonderful country. I've never been accepted more than this country was. And at Columbia University, literally every professor was saying that, the problems that we have on today's world is because of white men, how they colonize Africa.
So, here goes, and the irony behind the people who are teaching this are usually other white men. So, but let's keep listening to what she has to say.
Asia, right? That's how they mess up everything, and they are the one who needs to be blamed. And I couldn't believe that. Am I sitting in North Korea's classroom or in America? Actually, I couldn't believe why people are hating their own people that much.
What is your overall thought then when you look at America today and you compare it with your life experience, which has been horrific, sold into sex slavery at one point in your life? You get to America, you're expecting this to be the land of the free, the home of the brave, and the land of freedom.
Okay. I'm just, I wish I could go exactly to where she's at because I'm not a huge fan of Hannity, so his voice kind of irks me as well. Anyway, I'll deal with it just so you guys, so you can hear what she said.
And you get the exact same propaganda here.
Okay, Sean.
It's just heartbreaking. I literally sold as a sexual slave, and I literally crossed the Gobi Desert to be free. And now I thought I landed in a country where I can say what I believe and have my, freedom to think. However, now I end up in a country, I have to constantly censoring my speech because now in the name of a safe place, Colombia was told us what we cannot talk about.
Yeah.
And I am so concerned, if America is not free, I think there's no place else is left that is free.
Hear that? What she said there was, if we're not free here, then there's no place else left that is to be free. And I laugh when people say, "Oh, but you got freedom in other countries," um, while in Canada they're arresting pastors. But here, I'm just going to read the rest of what she said. She said North Korea started as a communist country. It began as let's make it the most equal society in the world. Now the regime made 50 different classes based on your status, based on what your great great grandfather did. And when I went to Colombia, that's when I shocked. They say, because your ancestors owned the slaves, that you must be guilty. You are privileged because you're white. And this is injustice because you can never choose your ancestors. You don't choose your race and people in North Korea. In North Korea, being punished for your, certain class, and in this America, the same thing is happening right now. I just want to point this out where she put they wanted to make it an equal society in the world. Now the regime made 50 different classes, kind of like the infinite number of genders that they want to indoctrinate us with. And it's really sad that this is um we're losing this country. We have to fight, and we need liberty loving and right leaning individuals. Forget about business. In this generation, we need to forget about business. We need to get into the universities. That's how, people I know, like Daily Wire and even like Timcast, that Tim Pool is talking about culture. They want to do videos and they want to do TV shows because they want to influence culture. That's not going to do us jack squat if we don't go into the universities and teach these kids and teach the future generations, because this is the whole thing. We're already behind. If we go, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to even talk about some of the other stuff. I'm going to talk about this. We need, like I said, we need liberty minded and right leaning individuals to start foregoing wanting to make money in business. Okay, the battle here is, there is battle in the culture. I'm not saying that that's not a noble goal to have, but we need people to go into the universities and teach these kids uh, not to hate this country, not to think of themselves either as perpetual victims or perpetual oppressors. We need people to go into these universities and challenge these racist, un-American ideas. It- there's a difference between teaching history and our dark history, and there's a different and another thing to teach uh, a white kid and a black kid that what matters is their skin color. And nothing could be further from the truth. And we need people to go into the universities, to go into colleges, and start getting tenure and fight this from the inside. Because and fight, because the generate we already lost. The fact that we don't have, I think it's something like less than 10% of college professors vote Republican. We need to change that. We need to get into these places of higher education and stop this, and so like that we're not losing generations to Marxism and communism, and because that's where they're taught these things. And then yes, it trickles down into elementary school, but this is the whole thing. If you into elementary school, to elementary, middle school and high school. But if we're the ones teaching the kids in colleges in 2 years, in universities, then this whole uh, lurch toward communism could come to an end. But we need people to go into the teaching field, and um, especially, like I said, especially in universities, because that's where these kids come back. radicalized. It's like the irony is that they talk about people on the right being radicalized, but where do some of these kids come? You have kids from conservative parents send these kids to colleges, and they come back spouting gender theory, and coming back with thinking they're transgender, and or whatever, just because the fact that they're around these people uh, spewing this uh, indoctrination to these kids, just like um, Miss Park here said. She's like, it's there. She doesn't have freedom of thought and freedom to speak. And if we lose it here, there's nowhere else to run to. There's nowhere to. There's no, like I said, Canada's locking up people. Mexico's, there's no two-way. There's no two-way or free speech in Europe. Anyone who tells me if you have hate speech laws, you have no free speech, because hate speech laws. It's easy to protect speech that you agree with. It's hard to protect speech that you absolutely loathe. As much as I don't like, as much as I loathe critical race theory and its tenets, because to me, it's a racist ideology. It's just that's all it is. It's just teaching a racist ideology. It's just changing it. That instead of the focus of you being, instead of the white person being the racist, it's the black person being the racist. And that's at the end of the day, this is how we want to fight these. We can't have these. Excuse me, I just lost my train of thought there. What I was trying to say is basically, even though I hate that ideology, you could talk about it all you want, but I'm going to challenge you on it. That's what I do here. I challenge that assertion, because I may be a person of color, but I think that's just BS that they're trying to, basically, it's like I said, and I've said it, I've taught, I've said it in multiple videos. It's basically, and I've showed it there using left wing sources, how critical race theory derived from critical legal theory, which derived from critical theory, all Marxist in its origin. And that's why we have to go into university, which is part of culture. Culture comes also from universities. These young kids establishing the new cultures. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I'm the Right Rican. You can follow me. I put these videos up on YouTube and Rumble. Also on social media. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Gab. That being said, have a good one, everyone.